Hi, everyone. I'm Kyler from the Content Mix, and I'm excited to be here with Mário Costa, Marketing and Communications Director at MANZ. With over 14 years of experience in marketing and communication, Portuguese native Mario has worked in a number of international roles, such as serving as a senior global brand manager at Metro AG in Germany and leading digital transformation as a digital and branding manager at Macro Portugal. Recently, Mario started his role at MANZ, a leading fitness company in Portugal. So today we're excited to learn more about Mario's career and gain some insight from his diverse and interesting experience. So without further ado, I want to welcome Mario to the show. Thank you so much for joining us, Mario, on the Content Mix.
Thanks for having me, Keller. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's our pleasure. So I gave you a nice introduction based on the research I did before the interview to prep, but I would love for you to introduce yourself in your own words. So could you tell us a bit more about who you are, where you're from, and what's your connection to content marketing here in Europe?
Yeah, and absolutely. So I'm Mario, precisely. I'm from Portugal. I'm from Porto, from the north of Portugal. I'm now Lisbon-based, and my company is in Lisbon, but I'm from Porto, and I worked also in Germany for 3 years before coming back to Lisbon. And my role about content marketing was always a very profound role, especially because my side of marketing, it's all about communication and digital communities, customer-centric. And so for me, content, it's very important to really tackle the right message to the right audience. It's all about content in the end. And across all the companies that I worked for, since I'm working in marketing, content always played a very important role for me. So I was always, when I think about marketing, I immediately think about content. And so for me, it's a very natural part of the process for me. And it was always like that since I'm working in marketing. So it was always a very natural process.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's funny, I was in Portugal this weekend, past weekend. So if people have listened or listening now,
what I
visited, it's beautiful. It was a beautiful city. And I just, moved to Lisbon, which I think I mentioned a couple of times on the show, but I was like, oh, Portugal's really nice. Should I have moved there? I'm happy in Lisbon, but it was a beautiful city.
Both cities are different and very beautiful, both of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's
it was wonderful.
Pros and cons on both sides.
And it's something that you mentioned too, and I was going to talk about this in the next question I had prepared, was that your career was really customer focused. Now, because you started your career in customer retention for Vodafone, which is obviously a very well-known company, which led you to continue to pursue your interest in communications and public relations as the marketing communications executive at Porto Editora. Yep. So you did your initial experience working with like the whole idea of retaining customers and really understanding who they are and how to keep them at Vodafone in this case, spark an interest in marketing and understanding what kinds of content are best suited for specific target audiences, because this is something that's so important in content marketing. It's understanding who you're trying to connect with.
Yeah, and you're right. It was the kickoff of my passion for marketing started precisely at Vodafone. Yeah, because in my role of the customer retention, I really understood the importance of customer and how marketing, and especially a good content, a good brand, can really change the perception of the customer towards the brand. Then the results are completely different, the financial results. So this to prove that customer relation and content strategies are completely connected to business. So it's not just about branding and visuals and so on, about copy, nice copy. No, it's about business. And I understood that in such a big brand like Vodafone. And that was the moment when I realized that I would like to continue my profession in marketing field, because my studies were from journalism. I started my career as a freelancer journalist working for a small publisher. And then in my experience in Vodafone, I really realized the importance of a strong brand, a love brand that we can even consider, and how content and a good customer strategy can really change business. And it's about money, and so this is how I realized that this is my beach. This is where I really want to want to pursue my career. So Vodafone was the start, was the spark that started, that ignited my passion for marketing, for sure.
That's amazing.
It started like that.
You said too, right? Because I feel like a lot of people in content marketing have a journalism background. What led you to Vodafone, into that role?
At the time, it was an opportunity, because I wanted to start in a big company, in a multinational company. This is what I wanted to start my profession. I was just I just finished my studies in university, and I wanted to start in a big company. And so Vodafone, the opportunity came, and so I started in the completely connection to customer. I started in a call center. So I was really receiving the calls from customers, so really understanding how they were behaving in the different types of customers. Then I went in even to the company's customers, not only end customers. So it was a really nice experience because I realized and I connected very, very close to the customers.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the power that the Vodafone has as a brand and the marketing strategy that they have, I mean, it's limitless. So it was really, really an awesome experience for me to start working in this kind of field and then improving, continuing my studies in the marketing area.
For
But
sure.
Vodafone was an opportunity that came in my life, and it changed because then I moved to marketing, from journalism to marketing, because of also this experience.
It's kind of like this bridge, right, to the next
Yes,
step in your career. Now, you said, you know, in the call center you had direct contact with the buyers, the people that were the customers at Vodafone. Now, I guess, what did you learn from that direct communication with them that you now can apply? It's like kind of you fully understood the buyer persona because you were talking to them. So like, I guess, what did you get from that experience that you still apply to this day in your role?
Yeah, I think there was one thing was about the clear hearing of the customer needs. Yeah, because sometimes it's not just about what they say; it's about what they want to say. And this is very important as a marketing professional, to understand what customers really want and not necessarily what they say. Yeah, because sometimes it's about feelings, it's about ways of being in that moment in life. And when I really learned about this experience with customers, was that you really need to listen, really not just hear, listen, right? And this is what my best learning from the Vodafone is, how to you should really listen to your customers, and then starting from that to really create the strategy towards the business. Yeah. And so for me was the key takeaway that I received from Vodafone experience, contacting directly with customers.
For sure. I think that's such a useful experience too, because having that contact, a lot of times too, like, I feel like there's a lot of disconnect, you know, with the people that are, you know, these marketing executives who are trying to implement these campaigns, and they just forget to simply listen to what the people want. So like you having that contact, although it seems like simple, no, it's you're on a call center and just dealing with them, but those are the key takeaways that you have used now, right, in your career.
Every day.
And throughout your career, as I mentioned before too, in the beginning, in the intro, you've worked in a number of different areas, which I found fascinating. So you were working in media and telecommunications, fitness, publishing, and even wine, which is appropriate. You're from Portugal. Now, there are marketers, right, who prefer to stick with one area of expertise. So, you know, one person might just work in one sector, and that's what they want to do because they think it might, you know, be more beneficial to them because they can really fine tune and understand the product that they're trying to sell. Now, you, on the other hand, it's a bit on the contrary. You've had a very diverse work experience. You've kind of put yourself in different situations, which I find really admirable and interesting, because it's kind of putting yourself in new situations and constantly challenging yourself to learn new and understand new products and new buyer personas. So how have you found this to be like advantageous during your, like, throughout your career? And what are some skills you've acquired through the opportunities that you've had working in so many different areas?
Yeah. No, I mean, you almost answered the question because the thing is that both scenarios are fine as long as you are happy. It doesn't matter if you stick with your business area for many years, you just change companies, or even in the same company, or if you change the business fields dramatically, like or drastically, like not dramatically, drastically, like I did, because I'm the one of the biggest reasons why I love working in marketing is precisely that, because you don't need to be a specialist of any specific field of area to be a good professional and to really love what you do, to love the brand that you work with too, because you have, of course, the theoretical basis, the experience, and then you just need to be in love with the brand, in love with the company, in love with the customers, and then everything is easier for you. And I'm this kind of person. So when I feel that I'm in love with the brand that I'm working with, everything is easier. And making it different and change the business areas, it's something that really makes me challenging myself every day, you know, because especially in the company that I am right now, and look, this company, the big company, we are fitness specialists. We started in the fitness field, but we also work in events like Japanese pop culture, for example, and we also sell wine, and we also are in a different business that we cannot reveal right now, but we are developing new business areas. And this is amazing, because one day I'm thinking about the strategy to talk to fitness people, and the next hour I'm talking about how to talk with people that love anime and manga and cartoons, right? So it's beautiful, and I'm never bored. So
That's awesome.
that's why I like to change areas within marketing, because I can always challenge myself every day. This is amazing.
And it seems like you found a job that kind of reflects what you like as a professional, no? Kind of being able to have contact with so many different people, but also different products, and kind of using your mind in new creative ways, which I think is important, right? To feel like challenge in your job, and learning. I think the best marketers are those, right, who are looking to learn and to listen, which is something that we talked about in the beginning. Now, I think a part of your pursuit of, looking for new opportunities and new challenges, you moved to Germany. So you lived there for 3 years, and you worked as the social global brand manager at Metro AG. And for those who haven't heard of Metro AG, this leading international wholesale company focuses on food and non-food assortment, and specializes in serving the needs of hotels, restaurants, and caterers, as well as independent traders. And there you worked on the end-to-end coordination of global branding campaigns to support 26 different countries. So around the globe. So that's a lot. First of all, that's just a lot. 26 countries is a lot. And now that the name of the game is localization and making sure your marketing campaigns really connect with the audiences. So you're doing that in 26 countries. It's a lot. So I wanted to know, as someone from Portugal too, like that's the first part of the question, is how is it working for a German company? Because I feel like it's very different culture, and it's working in an international business, like work environment, is very different. And then also, how is it doing, like, to work in so many different markets?
Yeah, I mean, working for a German company, it's a great experience, because it really forces you to have a structure that by default we, the Southern Europeans, are more relaxed. No, we can do that later. No, let's just talk. No, we need to structure things because we work in a field with a lot of ideas, a lot of inputs from everywhere, from customers, colleagues, business leaders. So we need to be structured, and we need to find the correct path. We can change, of course, but we need to find the path. And the German culture is a lot about processes, is a lot about structure. And so working in the German company, it was a very international company. So I was surrounded by a lot of international people. But anyhow, the German culture is there. And I think it was a very positive experience because of that. That, of course, we always learn and then can put in practice in other companies, like I'm doing right now in my new company, for example. So working with 26 countries comes along with what I said before. It's about challenging, about changing things, and about changing the mindset, because it's completely different when you create a content strategy for Portugal, Spain, France, and then for Japan and Kazakhstan and India and Pakistan.
Right.
It's completely different, because the people are different, the culture is different, the habits are different, even the business type is different. So for me, it was very challenging, but at the same time, this is what I like to do in marketing, is to really make sure that the message and the content you create is the one that is correct and valid for your customer, or the customer in those countries. So it was a tremendous experience to work for 26 countries, so different across.
That's crazy. Now, how did you know, for example, Japan? Like, how did you know what they were looking for and how you connect? Was it through research? Was it through talking to the people, the customers that you had there? How did you go about that?
It was about two things. For sure, talking with customers is a little bit more tricky because I don't speak the language. But of course, we have the marketing local colleagues, and it was very important to talk with the colleagues in the local markets. It's very important to understand, because they are close to their customers. Yeah, so they really understand them, they know them. But for me, being in a global position, it doesn't make sense to create a strategy, and specifically a content strategy, without knowing the reality of the customers. And it's not, you don't need to speak the languages. You need to talk to the right people that are close to the customers, and then the marketing colleagues in the countries were fundamental to that. And then, of course, a lot of international research as well. A lot of research companies that can really help about getting the right data, the right insights about before creating a strategy, right? So you need to do both ways. Talk with the local colleagues that are really close to the customers, but also do it in a more methodic approach, right? Because when you talk to your local colleagues, it's a lot about the empiric side of the experience, that you really hear them, you really are with them, which is very important. But you need data to create a proper insight, and then the research companies are fundamental to do that. And then just combine both sources of information.
And did you incorporate a lot of trial and error in that as well? Because I feel like from the interviews I've done, either it's people that are like, you have to do the research and they get the data, which I agree with both sides kind of in a way of like, you have to have the structure and everything, and then you implement the strategy. While some people were like, we'll just try different things and see what gets better. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that was
Absolutely.
something that you did as well and something that you believe in.
Yeah, I'm a very gut feeling person, so I always try to follow my guts, which sometimes is wrong. It
Of
is,
course, yeah.
right? It is. I mean, that's true. So that's why you need to find the right balance. There is no right or wrong. These people that only focus on the research, on the data, they tend to lose this kind of emotion because we are different, right? And what you see is a big picture. You don't see the one-to-one connection that only by knowing the person you have. So it's very
Right.
important to find the right balance, right?
For
So,
sure.
man, also depends on the level of decision you need to make. But trying to combine both sources of information, the analytical cold side and the warm feeling of knowing the people, it's the best strategy you can have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's a
it's always about
combination of
combining,
both.
about balance. Yeah.
Yeah, everything in life, right? It's about
Everything in
balance,
life,
true.
everything like
You
in
need to
this
have
area,
some
it's not
balance.
different. It's not
Yeah,
different.
for sure. Now, you mentioned, right, that you moved back to Portugal recently and now working for MANZ. So this is obviously a market you know well. And for those who don't know about the company, it started in 1991 and it has always been tied to the world of fitness, as what you said before. It has a philosophy based on holistic view of the general well-being of Portuguese people.
Yeah.
So it promotes a healthier lifestyle and they really like focus on culture as well, and kind of like you said, have cultural offerings and also offer like, quality and fun products. So why did you decide after, living in Germany for 3 years to move back to Portugal, and what are your main responsibilities in your new role, and what's a typical day like at work for
Yeah.
you now?
You will understand that this in conversation is a lot about challenging myself. It's a lot
Right.
about changing the mindset almost every day. When I saw this opportunity to come to MANZ and come back to Portugal was especially because of the challenge of the project. Because as you said, we are here since 1991. We started in the fitness field. We are leaders in the fitness training and in the fitness event. So we organized the biggest fitness event in Portugal, the Portugal Fit. But then at the same time, when I saw the portfolio of the company, we are also in the Japanese pop cultural event, right? And then in the wine business, and then in another business that we're going to work with. So, I mean, this when I saw this is my
Right.
type of role. I want this. I need to be there. This is the kind of job I want to do. And then, of course, the responsibilities that I have here, being a director, is to coordinate the full strategy in such different business areas and customers are completely different. It's
Right.
different target audiences. So being a director, I need to have this kind of responsibility to make sure that the way we communicate, that the content that we have, the channels that we choose are the right to the right ones to the right audience. And so and this is basically my day to day is to really create the proper content strategy, the channel strategy, follow up when we do, analyze the results, change what we need to change to go into the right direction. But I mean, what is really funny is like in the morning, I'm just approving content for a fitness content that we have. And now we are thinking about the Christmas campaign for the Japanese pop event. And tomorrow we'll think about launching the Black Friday for this wine brand. So it's a little bit crazy.
But it
it's
keeps
what
you
I
on
like
your
to do.
toes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And this is really, really nice. It's really beautiful. So.
Now, are you working with like a lot of different teams to help do that? It's like, do you have like one team for like the fitness and one team for, how does that work in terms
Yeah,
of
so
your team?
I have my marketing team that I work with, and then we have the business areas that have their own people, and we work very close together. We really need to do that because they have the connection, again, the connection to the customers. Yeah, they have they are connected directly to them. So it's very important for us to be together with the customers as well. So they are a tremendous source of information for us. So before we create any kind of strategy, we will always work with them. And then we share the strategy to make sure that what we are doing is really on the point to our customers.
That's awesome.
So I think in all the companies, marketing teams, they need to work together with all the business fields. Yeah,
they have to.
You know that a lot of things in marketing is a lot about of ego as well, because marketers, we all love to do what we do, and then we are proud of what we do, and sometimes we are a little bit tense when we want to share things with others because we need to be open to criticism. We need to be open to new ideas because if it's just for improvement, and especially in this company where we have so many different fields, we need to work together. And this is what I always say to my team. talk to them. Let's talk to them. Let's get their inputs, and then let's do the right strategy. Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like that's a motto that we can apply right to life in general. Is just to be open for
Be
feedback
open.
and to open to hear people's ideas. Because although maybe your ideas are really good, right? They could be like the best, but it's always good to hear that and have that conversation and learn from others. You might learn something that you didn't expect.
Yeah, and have fun. One of the things that the general manager said to me here was, I mean, we have a company that we need to have fun because we love what we do. So it's about having fun in the end. It's just a job, man. So we need to make sure that what we do, but it's a lot of time in the day. So we need to really make use of it. Have fun what you do, and for that, don't close yourself in your dogmas, in your ideas, in your prejudice. Just have fun.
When you have fun, that kind of like it manifests right in the work that you're doing. So if you have fun, then people will actually think it's a great company, and it kind of just brings the vibe. It makes a better vibe for the company.
Absolutely.
It's awesome. So I'm glad that it's going well, because I know you recently started there, and
just 1 month.
Yeah, so it's been a good transition, and you're back home, so that's good. Now, I always ask this question too, because I'm just curious. But what's an example of a campaign or a piece of content that's worked really well for you, and why? And it also could be one that worked very poorly. So I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever one you want to choose.
Absolutely. I have two that for me are the most iconic campaigns that I've developed together with my colleagues. I can mention these two. One was precisely in Porto Editora, which is the largest publisher in Portugal. So before I moved to Lisbon, this is a Porto-based company. Before I moved to Lisbon, I worked there. And we've developed, and it was all about content. That's why I think I would like to highlight this strategy and this campaign, because we had this audience, like we got the parents and the students, because we were focusing more on the educational side of the publishing. But this audience were not being communicated that well. And so we've created, together with my team, we've created a full content strategy. It was all about content, like a newsletter subscription with articles that were being sent every month, or every week, if I'm not mistaken, with the right content to the right age that the son or the daughter was in. So we were talking to parents and saying, hey, look, your kid is 6 years old, so he's now going to his first year of school. Here are the best recommendations to deal with the topic. And then the next year, and the next year, and the next year, and so on and so on. And it was all about content. Of course, there was in the end some product connection, because we had the products to solve the needs that they were having. But in general, it was a full content strategy.
Wow.
And in the one-to-one, super hyper-personalized communication about the kids and about the parents. And it was a one-to-one talk as a brand that we were having. And this was almost 12, 13 years ago. So for us, and specifically for me, was all about content. It was and it's still today. It's still live. I still receive the newsletters.
Right.
And it's still working. So it's
awesome.
It's working, and it's super nice that I was together with my colleagues in the lead of this project. And then I guess together here, the last ones in the Metro group, in the Metro AG company, working for 26 markets and developing campaigns that are completely activated across all the markets is challenging. But I was very happy. And again, it is always a joint work. Yeah, nobody does anything alone, right? So it was really nice to work together with the countries at the time to develop their own business day, which is a day about celebrating own businesses, about celebrating being an entrepreneur, about having their own business, and especially nowadays where they struggle to stay alive, to survive. In such a big international company, having a voice that we are the ones that will always there and keep supporting them. And we've created this day, and we've developed content to support them and strategies to support them for them to be alive. I mean, this is what brands should do. It's not just about selling products, right? It's about being right to your customers when they need. And in both ideas, in both projects, in both companies, it was all about that in the end. It's about being together with them, because brands can be humans, and this is always what we're trying to do in marketing, is to humanize the brand and so on. And through content, and both ideas are about content, through content, you can really do that. So I'm very proud about these two campaigns, about these two brands, because that's representative of what we like to say.
That's fantastic. And it seems like from what I can pull to, like two big things is like kind of understanding your client, right, or your customer, and like kind of segmenting your content, knowing a campaign to make sure that it goes to the right people at the right time, to make sure they have value in it. But also this idea of collaboration, collaborating with, like you said, the people in the different markets that you're working with at Metro AG, and then also this like kind of collaborating with the buyers and the people that are interested in the company. Now, my next question, so that kind of leads me to the next question. So those are things I'm sure that you think are important, right, for a company to do when implementing a marketing campaign or a new strategy. But what are some things you think companies get wrong nowadays when it comes to content marketing?
Yeah, I think it's about creating content without listening to your customers, right? Because it's also, when you read textbooks from marketing from the 80s and from the 90s, everybody talks about this myopia that the marketers have, that they don't, they think that what they are saying is the right strategy, and they develop a content strategy without really understanding if it's needed in the markets, if the customers are really in need of this kind of content. So we see a lot of content strategies and marketing strategies, to be even more broad, that then in the end don't work. And the reason why is that you didn't listen to your customers before doing that. And there are still companies that do that for many reasons. Some are lucky to do that, because if they fail, there is no problem in the budgets or in the financial system of the company. Others don't do just because they don't know how to do it, right? And this, in the end, it's not about resources. You can look, I worked in huge companies, big companies, small companies, and it's not about budget. It's about really listening to your customers and developing the right content strategy for them. So it's really important that you listen to them and be close to them. Don't go out, go to your customers, go there, visit them, talk to them, and then you get the feeling on really. I said that I'm a very gut feeling person, and then you get the feeling on how to really do that. So be close with where your customers are. Be there.
And listen and open your
ears. Listen. Exactly.
So you just mentioned some things, right, that companies should be doing in their marketing and content marketing. Now, a lot of people that listen to the podcast, I mean, we have a very, like your career itself, diverse range of listeners who are people who are, have a lot of marketing experience or, are just starting out. But I think this next question that I usually try to ask all the time, which is what skills do you think are most important for marketers nowadays, especially those starting out? I always ask that because I think it's important that we kind of just reflect a bit, because I think, we could, like you said, we're marketers and you might have great ideas, but sometimes it's important to reflect on kind of what are the basics, what's the foundation. So in your opinion, what skills do you think are like the most important to have nowadays, if you want to be a successful marketer?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question, because also depends on the level that you are as an experience. Because if you're just starting to be a marketeer, I guess you need to be very humble, and you need to be together with your colleagues. Understand that there are people that know more than you. There will always be people that know more than you. So you really need to, anytime in the process of your life, you need to be humble and understand and listen to what other colleagues have to say. And I'm always highlighting this listen part, not because this is a podcast, but because it's really important to listen. And it doesn't matter if you really know how to create the best digital strategy. I mean, this is not that hard. You just need to learn. You can even watch some YouTubes and do some free online courses, and then suddenly you're a paid media expert. But it's not about that, right? It's really about being close and listen to your colleagues that know more than you in the different areas, and listen to your customers as well. So if somebody is starting out working in marketing, I would say the best skill that you need to do is the capacity to listen, take notes, write, think about it, and then do it. And then don't be afraid of doing it and fail, because everybody fails. And this is very important, that you don't risk it, because if you're afraid of failing, you don't risk it. And then the worst thing that a marketeer can do is to don't risk it. That's the worst thing we can do.
The worst.
So risk it. So listen, risk it, and be humble. That's for me the most important skills for a marketer.
Yeah, and I feel like the whole idea of listening, right, has become a common thread throughout this conversation, but
I
it's so
mean,
true.
if you want to highlight something from me, it's specifically the listen part, because for me,
for sure.
And probably this is a default from Vodafone, because Vodafone was a lot about listening.
Right.
And so probably this was a stamp in my market attitude. It was
For sure. It's ingrained, it's become a habit for you to listen. Now, I kind of want to shift the interview a bit more, less from like the do's and don'ts of marketing, but more, and speaking of habits, more about yourself. So I kind of want to know if you have any daily habits that you would attribute to your success that you could share with our audience. So people will say, you know, yoga, or I wake up and do this, or I have a to-do list, and simple things. It can be simple, it can be different. But what do you do on a daily basis that you think helps you have more success in the workplace, in life?
I would love to tell you this kind of beautiful stories that I start my morning with a nice cup of tea, and I listen to the birds singing, and I do my meditation. No, I'm not that kind of special, fantastic person, but I do have my habits. And what I really do, I start the morning reading the news. So for me, the general news, not about marketing news. For me, it's very important to stay up to date to what's happening in the world, not only in my country, but in the world. So the first thing I do is read the news. That's the first thing I do. Then when I think that I really like to do is to stay up to date to the best practices and what's happening in the marketing field. So I subscribe a lot of newsletters and a lot of blogs and websites to really understand what's new, because there are always things changing in the marketing field. And then I also would like to see what other brands are doing. So I also pay a lot of attention to what other brands are doing, not only in my field of interest, but in the different business areas. So I would say there's three things. I start reading the news. It's my first thing that I do. Then during the day, I read my newsletters, and then I see what other brands are doing. And I do it every day. This is like a habit. Yeah, but there is no, for me at least, no magic thing that you do in the day. But I think for me, I was thinking about that in some days ago, was about reading the news. When others seeing you reading the news, right? What do they think? That don't have anything to do. And this is sometimes, especially in companies with some different mentality, and especially in a country like Portugal, where there's still a lot of mindset that needs to change in the companies. And probably from my German experience, this was not happening at all. It's about being informed. How can you have emotional and sensitivity to the strategy you want to create if you know what's happening around you? If you just do office work, you don't know what's happening around. And how can you be close to people if you don't know what's happening? So reading the news, I think it's very important for everybody, but especially when you talk to people, when you create strategy about people, read the news, know what's happening.
And it's like a form of listening, right? If you know what's going on in people's countries and their societies or whatever, you know, like not to implement the wrong campaign. You know, that could be insensitive, or even just speaking to someone. Maybe you have because now we're essentially like more global than ever, and have colleagues around the world. In some cases, it's like, it's good to know that maybe in this country this is happening. So, to make sure you ask if they're okay, or like how that's going, stuff like that. It's just being a more human, human, I guess you could say.
And unfortunately, Kyler, in the last years, we also see a lot of news that makes you think about life, which also helps you to make yourself distant from what you think is a big problem. And in the end, it's not that big a problem.
Yeah.
And then the way you deal with life and the way you deal with your problems in your work day, it's easier. Because if you make this kind of comparison, you make, hey, this is nothing, let's do it. This is no problem, let's solve it. And because you have the knowledge that other scenarios are more complicated than what you think in your chair, you have this tendency to think about the easiness of life in the end for you. And it's better for work if you have fun. If you have
100%. Yeah. Now you get inspiration, right, from the newsletters, even from the news, things that you read. Now I wanted to know too if you have any like professional role model or other sources of inspiration that inspire you.
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I would like to stress out not famous and known persons, but especially the leaders that I had in the previous companies. If I'm in a leading position today, I always try to think about my former bosses that I had in the previous companies, and I learned a lot from them. So if I would like to, and if they listen to this podcast, they will, and for sure they will, because I will share with them, they will see that this message is also for them, because when you're humble and then you listen and talk to your colleagues, you learn and you improve, and you can be where you are today if you will really learn from others. And I would like to, as a role model, my previous bosses, I was very lucky with all of them in all my previous companies, all of them. There is no exception. And for me, when I do my job every day and I need to make tough decisions, because sometimes we need to make a decision, I think, how will this person do? And I try to put myself on her shoes or on his shoes and make this kind of decision. So my role model was my previous bosses. This is the most boring.
No, it's not. I think it's important.
But it's true. It's very important for me.
And it's like that whole idea of having a mentor and, having someone that you can look up to. It's so important, because then you but it's also like, using your bosses, and you might have a bad boss, right? And I'm not saying I'm sure you never.
I was lucky.
Very lucky.
But very lucky.
But still, like, you can then take from that. If I supervise people, I don't want to do this. Or if I, had the opportunity to do similar things to that boss, I wouldn't do it that way. So it's kind of, even if you have a bad boss, it's still good to like learn from your colleagues and kind of absorb everything from them. But now, since we're still on the, talking about what to do and recommendations, do you have any other like recommendations in terms of apps or tools, books or platforms that you think help you, stay more productive or help you kind of stay on top of your game?
Yeah. I think to talk about apps and technological solutions, I think, and again, this is going to be very repetitive. I'm always talking about listening, but having a monitoring tool, it's very important for all of us that work around customers and content, because you cannot be everywhere at the same time, right? And in the business like we have right now, we have so many pages and websites and the different brands and different audiences, that you need to have one powerful tool that really help you to identify where the people are talking about you, and talk to them, talk back, not just don't see and not do anything. Talk to them, act as a person. The brand should act as a person. So for me, having a monitoring tool is something that's it's mandatory, or should be mandatory for any people that work, any person that work around customers. So
it's essential.
So it's essential for me. It's essential.
Well, we've come to the end of the interview, unfortunately, because I feel like I learned a lot, and it was great to connect with you and hear more about your career and kind of how that shaped who you are today. But do you have any final takeaways or a piece of advice that you'd like to share with the audience before we call it a day?
I mean, I have the feeling that I had so many things.
You had a great advice in this interview.
To the listeners, to the audience. But again, I guess I'm going to repeat myself. And this is not just about bingo. It's really about be close to people, to customers, and to your colleagues. Listen to people, because that's the only way how you can improve yourself and be a better human and a better professional. So listen and stay together, especially nowadays with Corona times, where we lost a little bit of human connection. It's about reconnecting now. So keep the health, keep the health measures. I don't want to
be safe.
Be safe. I don't want to create now a problem. But be together again. And nowadays there are ways for us to be together. We are doing this and we are not together, and we are connecting. So do the same.
We can still do it. Customers. Now, we connected on LinkedIn, but I was wondering if anyone wanted to get in touch with you. Is LinkedIn the best way to do that? Or are you active in other platforms and channels?
I have to say that LinkedIn is one of my favorite networks where I'm more available. I also love Twitter. It's my second best. So if you want to look out for me, it's sound_force from my DJ background.
That's cool.
So, but I kept my nickname. But basically, Twitter and LinkedIn are the most used platforms that I am, what I am. So.
Perfect. Well, again, I want to thank you so much, Mario, for sharing your insights with us today. And I also want to thank everyone for tuning in. So as always, I probably sound very repetitive saying this, but for more perspectives on the content marketing industry in Europe, check out veracontent.com/mix and keep tuning into the podcast for more interviews with content experts such as Mario. So we'll see you all next time. And thanks again, Mario, for a great chat today.
Thank you. You're welcome. It was a pleasure. Be happy, everybody. Ciao, ciao. Thank you.